But we do have to get to our guest, and I'm very excited to talk to him. This is I think when people think of kind of San Antonio area, they inherently think of that district with Cibolo Steel, and Converse Judson. They think of 27-6A, and rightfully so. Those are two very big programs in the San Antonio area. But one squad that I think is flying under the radar a little bit are the Schertz Clemens Buffaloes. They took a loss in their first game, and I think everybody kind of jumped off the bandwagon. But I don't know if you've noticed, but they've rattled off 4 consecutive wins in rather convincing fashion. And here to talk about his Buffaloes is the head coach of Schertz Clemens. We are joined by Coach Johnston. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
I want to go back to that week 1 loss, and you guys started 0-1. Obviously, not the way that everybody that you want to start, but you take a loss to what we've now found out is a pretty good Round Rock team. But
yes,
I'm interested in knowing, what did you learn about your team based on that week 1 loss?
Well, what I learned right off the bat was, the word quit or is not in their vocabulary. Given the circumstances of the game, and if you go back and you look at the game and all the turnovers and mistakes we had, being down, with under, a little over a minute left in the game, we get the ball back and get down to about the 3-yard line and run out of time, down 6, and lose by 6. One of the main things we learned is that you're always in the game. No matter the circumstances. It was the same as last year in the playoffs. Going in the fourth quarter in the first round, we're down 17 points in the fourth quarter to a very good Johnston team, and come back to win that game. So just being able to see our kids handle some adversity, not hit the panic button, and getting it down that we just ran out, basically ran out of time. I mean, we couldn't get the ball set up again for one more play, and we learned from that, and we also learned that you can't have turnovers against a very good Round Rock team.
And you guys since then have rattled off 4 straight wins in convincing fashion. And for me, the thing that's been most impressive has been your defense. It seems like your defense has really clicked. Something is really running right on that defensive side. From your perspective, what changed? You guys give up 41 points to Round Rock in the first game, and since then, I don't think you've given up 41 points in 4 games combined. What changed after that week 1 loss?
Well, one of the main things is, offensively, we're helping them out. What people don't realize is we turned the ball over 3 times inside the 20, one time and we gave the ball to them 1 time at the 2-yard line on a kickoff return that we fumbled at the 2 and they got it back. Putting our defense in favorable positions where making a team have to go the length of the field. That's really helped out a lot, and just trying not to give up the big play. We gave up a big play right before half versus Round Rock. And just playing more sound defense and making teams earn everything they get.
We're talking with Coach Johnston of Schertz Clemens Buffaloes here on DCTF Live. This interview brought to you by Atavis Rugby Tackling, and get involved in the conversation, #DCTF Live. And Coach, I'm sure you don't get tired of talking about him, but he is the man, and we just refer to him as that dude on your squad. I imagine you know who I'm talking about, and your quarterback, Frank Harris. He was sensational last year. He's been just as good this year as the guy who gets to see him day in and day out. What about Frank sets him apart from maybe other signal callers?
Well, what you see is, we're getting ready to go to practice today, and you're going to see him react and do what he does on Friday nights at practice, even against air. If we have any kind of a quarterback run play or read play, and when he pulls it, he's going 40, and it's 100 miles an hour, and that's how he practices. And he demands that. And when you have your leader, as you're calling the man, doing those things, everyone else follows. So now you have your running backs that, when they break one, they're going 40. A receiver who's catching a 5-yard hitch is now turning around and exploding for 40. And, that's one of the main things that he brings to the table. It's just his work ethic and the way he goes about his business.
And then I also, you mentioned the running backs, and I think that because Frank is such a superstar, and he really is, he's superb, I feel like you've got a real secret weapon in your running back, Cameron Baker, a guy who was sensational last year, nearly a 1,500-yard rusher last year himself. And now he's already off to a great start, averaging almost 7 yards a carry. What can you tell our listeners about your running back, Cameron Baker?
Well, Cam is a dual threat. He not only can he run the ball, he can catch, and he's also one of our best blockers. And what I like about it is he in between the tackles. What he's doing such a great job about is lowering his shoulder and getting that extra 2 or 3 yards, and he's always going forward. That's one of the great things about you look for in a back, that even when he's getting tackled, it's always going forward, and that's one of the things. And of course, his speed. He's a 4.4 kid. So when you have anybody, when you have Frank Harris back there, and you're a lot of teams that try to make Frank give the ball to Cam, which is not always a good thing. So when you have that kind of a dual threat and a kid that's unselfish, that loves the game, and they just want to see us win, and they don't care who gets the glory or anything like that. So we got a good combination back there.
And then I want to talk the kind of the thing that makes it all go is your offensive line, and this has been an offensive line that's gelled, I think, over these past 5 games, and now halfway through the season at a 4-1 record. What kind of growth have you seen from your offensive line so far?
Well, they're starting to settle down.
Mm-hmm.
We have one starter back on our offensive line, that's the center. But you have a group of kids. We give them a hard time. I think their average SAT is like 1,300. So we have a very smart offensive line that is now starting to settle into their position and what they got to do and understand what we're doing. That first ball game went pretty fast for them. It was all of their first time under the lights on a Friday night. So just being able to relax and make calls and trust what we're doing and trust the scheme, and that's been the difference. The last couple of years we've been really big. We've been 6'5", 6'4", 6'5", and now we're not. But we're just as strong. We're just not as tall. And what they lack in height, boy, I tell you what, they get after it. They're quick, and they're really understanding what we want to do offensively, and being able to come back now and talk to us instead of just with big eyes like they were the first Friday night. Now they come back and they sit down, on the sideline in between series and can have a conversation with you without those big old eyes they had the first game.
You're in your 5th year at the helm of the Buffaloes, and you came over from Cibolo Steel where you were an assistant. For you, how have you grown as a coach in this now half decade there at Clemens?
Well, I mean, one of the main things that I've been blessed. I've been under some really great coaches, and Mike Jinks being one of them, and just being able to learn to trust the process and understand what we're doing, and being able to utilize our kids, and even when I was at Steel, when we had Tommy Armstrong, we were still under center, both in the gun and under center, and just being able to grow and understand that when you have the dual threat quarterback, and being able to be able to adjust to the talent scheme around you and what we have, and being able to make sure we put the right pieces of the puzzle together.
We're talking with Jared Johnston of the Schertz Clemens Buffaloes here on DCTF Live. Get involved in the conversation at #DCTF Live. And Coach, of course, I got to ask you about your district. You apparently made somebody very mad at the UIL because they stick you in District 27 6A with the heavy hitters of the San Antonio area, the Smithson Valleys, the Cibolo Steels, the Converse Judsons. A couple of questions. First of all, how do you tell your kids, hey, look, we've got these giant San Antonio programs here, and maybe we're the new kid on the block, but we can be just as good. And secondly, when you look at 27-6A, how do you see it shaken out? How do you've still got games with kind of the big three in Smithson Valley, Judson, and Steele ahead. What do you see as far as the district is concerned?
Well, I mean, you're talking about every single and New Braunfels is a good
New Braunfels as
team.
well, absolutely.
Yeah, and East Central came into our district that had been winning the Corpus district the last couple of years.
That's
so, just understanding that every Friday night is a big ball game, and what enabled us to be successful, I think last year was, when you go through that gauntlet and you get in the playoffs, there's nothing new to it. I mean, it's like a playoff atmosphere. It's playoff atmosphere, playoff game every single night in our district. So if you're blessed enough to get in that top 4 and get out, the playoffs it's almost just like another district ball game. So and that's kind of been our approach. We went 11-3 last year. We lost 3 games, 2 to Steele, 1 to Judson. So and all 4 of us played in the regional finals. So I'm expecting the same thing this year. Smith and Valley is a great football team, and Judson and Steele are right there, ranked in the top in the state. So it's just a matter of controlling what we do and our work ethic, and understanding that you have to play your best ball game every single night in our district. And when you have to do that on a daily basis, you have to practice that way during the week and play that way on Fridays. It does nothing but carry over in the playoffs.
And then I want to take it back to your outstanding quarterback, Frank Harris, for 1 minute. You've seen more of him than anybody in the state. Is there one play or one moment that you can recall in a game, or maybe even in practice, something that he did that made even you kind of drop your jaw?
Well, I go back to the, really, I mean, it's amazing because you could talk about a bunch of them, but, there's 2 plays versus Smith and Valley, right before the half. We're just going to try to throw it up in the corner end zone. We're probably, 45 yards out. Maybe I think we're right at the 50. So we drop back just to throw it, and they bring heat, and he runs all over the place and ends up rushing for about a 52-yard touchdown. With time, time runs off the clock, which was a big lift going into halftime. And one
of those moments where you go, no, wait, yeah, do that.
Yeah. And it's just some of the stuff he does. He doesn't panic. And it always feels good when even when we were down 17, like we talked about earlier, versus Johnston in the playoffs. We're getting ready to come out, and I look at him, hey, don't panic, we're all right. He goes, Coach, we got this. He gave me a little wink, and next thing you know, we rumble off 21 points and win the ball game. So, just having that kind of demeanor in what he does and what he brings to the table, and just you always know that you got a chance, and our kids know that, and so do our players and our coaches, and it's just a matter of trusting and believing. And watching him, do the work. But he'll be the first to tell you, we got some pretty good weapons around him. We got a receiver, Tommy Bush. He's 6'5". He's had several catches this year. So you can't just focus. You can't put everything on trying to stop Frank when you have other weapons.
Absolutely. He is Jared Johnston, the head coach of the 4-1 Schertz Clemens Buffaloes. Coach, enjoy your bye week and maybe relax a little bit, and then good luck the rest of the way.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
There he goes, Jared Johnston, the head coach, the Schertz Clemens Buffaloes. If you haven't seen Frank Harris, my phone's ringing for some reason. If you haven't seen Frank Harris, he's a freak. I mean that in the nicest possible way. Yeah. That kid is out of control. Yeah. But he's right. There's a lot of other weapons on this team that he gets the headlines, and then it was really interesting what he said about Cameron Baker, his running back, that understandably, a lot of defensive coordinators say, all right, we have to make Frank Harris give it up.
Right.
We have to make him hand off the ball. Well, if you're handing it to a great running back like Cameron Baker, right, it's pick your poison here.
Right.
And so this is an offense that you've got to watch out for. And if this defense continues to play like it does, and it continues to kind of churn along and play the way that it has the past couple of weeks, you got to watch out. And I'm not saying they're going to win that district.
Right.
Steele is formidable. Yeah. Judson is formidable.
Yeah.
Smith Valley is formidable.
Yeah.
But you know what? They're already past East Central. They're already 2-0 in district. They're already a squad that's rolling.
Right.
They get a week off before they take on. I had it up for a moment. I forget who they've got next, but they've got a week off to get healthy, to get right, and then it's game on, and they get into a stretch there for those last 4 weeks. They play they'll play New Braunfels Canyon. It looks like.
Okay.
But then they get a week off. Then they get New Braunfels Canyon, and then over the course of 4 weeks. Home to Smith Valley, at Judson, home to New Braunfels, at Steele. Look, they're going to earn it.
Yeah.
Nobody's saying they're not going to earn it. But
Yeah.
if they are going to be battle tested
Right.
when they get to the playoffs, and it is a win in my opinion. I think that they are a playoff team.
Right.
They're going to be battle tested, and you got to watch out for them.
I know the interesting thing about Region 4 is I think once they reach the playoffs, they probably won't be the favorite to win the region, but they probably only have to pull off one upset to do it. Maybe two, but probably only one, and that's really all you got to do to get to the semifinals. So it'll be interesting to watch. They've certainly got the talent.
They certainly do. It's a very and they got that dude.
Right.
And sometimes all you need is that dude
With the cape.
Exactly right.